Here we are on Morning Express, and it's time for us now to get to the lifestyle section. And joining me is none other than Barack Onyango. Thank you for joining us. Barack Onyango is manager for Sam Okoth.
Thank you very much
as well.
Yes.
And Sam Okoth is a cultural ambassador. Now, in case you didn't know of a cultural ambassador, well, that's why we're here, to first of all find out what is a cultural ambassador. And let me start with you, Sam. What is a cultural ambassador, which you consider yourself to be?
Yeah. In this instance, it's people that represent a country from a cultural perspective, because most leaders nowadays are interested in business, but any business you conduct without a cultural front is most likely to fail, like the Kenyan systems, because we've inherited so much from the West, but that was their culture, which has been progressive for hundreds of years, like from the time of Julius Caesar, you know. They've been paying taxes for hundreds and thousands of years, but we haven't been. So we need to address the cultural issue and put it at the forefront of
Okay.
Yes.
And how long have you been a cultural ambassador?
In Kenya, it's just being processed. In fact, in the next few minutes, there's a letter that's coming out from the Ministry of Tourism, Culture. But in places like Taiwan, Australia, for quite a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned earlier on that you've not been living in Kenya. How do you become a cultural ambassador for Kenya when you've not been living here?
That's an interesting point of view, because when I left Kenya, I wanted what the West had. They had everything I did not have, until I arrived there and found that I was a nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I became a cultural ambassador of Kenya by singing the songs of Kenya, telling the stories of Kenya, educating the outside world on the beauties of Kenya. Those little things that we've left behind that we take for granted. That beautiful flower that's so African, you can only find it in Africa. It's not the game parks, it's not the hotels, it's not the bush, it's the people, the language, which surpasses and transcends tribalism. That's how you become an ambassador.
Okay. Barack, you're his manager.
Okay.
And is it Barack Obama by any chance? I see it's Barack O. So is it Barack Obama by any chance?
Interesting. Apparently that's my first cousin.
Barack Obama.
That's my first cousin.
Okay, and you're serious, eh?
Of course I come from his region.
Okay.
Locally here.
So is that, are you his cousin by virtue of the fact that you're from his region?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, Barack Onyango, I believe it is, right?
Yes, that's
and what is, why do we need a cultural ambassador? We have different cultures in different places. Why would you feel it necessary for us to have a cultural ambassador?
Good question. Apparently in Kenya here, the system that we use to appoint our cultural ambassador is questionable. For instance, you can't take a gospel artist to represent Kenya as a cultural ambassador, while there is somebody who has been practicing all along his life, playing the Nyatiti music, practicing real culture, food stuff, lifestyle.
You're saying we can't take a gospel artist to become a cultural ambassador. Why not?
That's wrong.
Why?
Because gospel is gospel. That's religion. But culture is practice. It's a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Sam Okoth has been practicing organic culture all along.
What is organic culture?
Organic culture is a way of life, simply from the system, I mean how we live, how we plant our crops, how we sing, how we dance. That's very rich, that's natural.
And is it just to teach and let people know, or is it to try and have us go back to our culture?
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah.
It is to, you know, when we're having negotiations in the Western world, we're having negotiations from their point of view, in systems they've created. So no matter what we do, we're playing second best. It is to educate them, to teach them, to let them know we have something that's worthy that they don't have, and to ask us, tafadhali turudi nyuma tuanzie from the beginning. Yeah.
Although I don't know whether we need to teach them first or should we learn, because I'm not sure.
We need to learn. It's upon us to make them learn. Because the story goes, I've lived out of Kenya for the last 25 years. Black people are diseased, black people are starving, black people are full of prisons. How do you change that? How do you take that to a negotiating table? You can't. You simply cannot do that.
So we need to go back to our culture for us to be able to negotiate.
We do that. Because
Barak, how do you intend to have this panned out? How do you intend to educate?
Good question you're asking. As I've heard before from Samakot, having lived outside for quite a long time, already in Australia where he's based, the practice what we call permaculture. Permaculture has been really well exploited here in Africa and more so in Kenya. Though it is here, but the initiative is still in infantry. So my colleague here already have that in Siaya, where we come from. And they're trying to educate the society there that we have what it takes. From just one piece of land, you can feed the community there and even the neighborhood around. Just practicing good culture, permaculture. Yes.
Okay. And would you then be advising that we totally do away with the Western culture? Or is it integrating?
Systematically, it works.
What works?
The Western culture. The Western culture. Systematically, it works. But systems are not people. When your highest cause of death is suicide, you've got to start questioning yourself. When they send me to play at their prisons, their school, to go and help people that are in need because drugs have overtaken society. Societies are so broken that 85% of all marriages are broken. It doesn't work. We can do away without it. The systems we can adapt, but culturally speaking, we are rich.
So what is missing?
What is missing is people. People are not systems. People are living, breathing, sentient beings. You cannot replace them with systems. And this is missing.
That's missing.
Yeah.
We'll come to that shortly, and you'll tell us what it is, and maybe play us a song or two.
Yeah.
Barak,
yes,
is culture possibly the solution that we're looking for to have our society go back to where it was?
Sure, you got it right. You have to go back and fix everything. You can imagine now, like the contemporary diseases that we have, the Parkinson's, name it all.
Lifestyle diseases.
Because of abandoned our ways, how we should live. People are now getting into pizzas, what have you, And you think that's contemporary, that is cool. If you bring up a child and you buy for him pizzas and all that stuff, you think that's the way. It's not the way.
But how far back are we going on culture? Because when I look at the way you're dressed, this is modern, this is not cultural. Are we saying we're going to go back? How far are we going back, and what are we going back on?
You see, that's the question you're asking, but you see I'm with him, that's a reflection.
So and that's why I'm asking, are we integrating both cultures? Because even this is still modern. This is cloth that has been wound and made in a modern machinery. Culturally, you'd be here in a what do you call it, in leather.
Paradigm, yeah. Well, that's where we've been wrong so far. And that's why we've abandoned culture, because we think of it, first of all, it's a stigma. That this is ancient, this is no longer valid. Culture, and remember, it is about people, not systems. Culture is evolving as people. You have to evolve culture. You take the positive aspects of what you have and evolve with it. There are certain practices in culture that we cannot undertake at this moment, because as time goes, we are supposed to evolve, we are supposed to know better. But you don't abandon simply everything and adapt something that you don't know where it came from. You haven't lived there. How do you know it works? You don't.
Okay. So Barak, coming back to how you intend to do this, is it to be infused through the children, or is it to start with the parents coming down to the children?
Basically, it starts from the top, trickling down. Yeah. Because the parents are the role model. If they abandon the culture, then how sure are we that the children will adopt it? Yeah, so start from the top.
All right. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your instrument.
This, to the Luo people, is called a nyatiti, kambanani. I play.
Is it purely traditional?
No.
Because it looks like a mix between maybe culture and a guitar, for example.
Yeah. Now the nyatiti looks exactly like that. It's purely traditional. The only difference is the tuning. It's something I came up with. And that's when I said culture has to be progressive and evolving, so that the young people can feel a validity to actually accepting it. The traditional instrument cannot maybe sing the song you like, maybe it doesn't reflect your lifestyle at the moment. But why not take that thing that is already there, that's so uniquely you, that is extremely sellable and profitable, because the Western people don't have it. Why don't we create markets from those old things and bring them into the new world? That's what this is.